Given the first few sentences in this comment, wherever you think it is going, it's not. Everybody, welcome back. If you have been with me for more than 5 minutes, then you know that the real show is in my comments. For some reason, since the very beginning of my channel, I've been a magnet for the unhinged, the conspiracy theorists, the trolls, and people who feel the need to express things as well as confess. Things that would get you put on a government watch list. But be that as it may, they find their way into my comment section, and as my channel has gone on, into my DMs. And I want to share and react to in real time some of those comments today. But because it is not all doom and gloom, if you've been here, you know that the community is, and that means you are like a never-ending source of hilarity, because some of the things that you get up to in the comments, you crack me up, and I want to share and react to some of those as well. So it's not all doom and gloom here. Case in point. There is so much to unpack there in so few words. I need to know more. There has to be more to the story. Worship Cats has clearly seen some shit, and Big Red has done some shit. We must know. I must know. What have you seen? Before we get to the comments, something you must know about me is that I will match energy. I'm sure you've seen me do it. When somebody comes in here with ill intentions, I'm going to match that right back. So oftentimes people come and think that I'm not going to say something in return if you say something absolutely horrific, and don't really like the responses that they get.
I could have my Gucci on. I could wear my Louis Vuitton.
I really try to have rules when it comes to interacting with people, and one of the things that I really won't do is shame somebody for their appearance. However, something that I can never get my head around is somebody who makes it their life's ambition to want to seek people out for the sole purpose of causing them harm, to want to hurt them. Why would you want to seek somebody out and be their 13th reason? So when people present themselves and show themselves to be that kind of person, my brain has already clocked you as the bad guy, and all bets are off. Those rules do not apply anymore, and I will say basically anything. I'm not perfect. I know this. I've never claimed to be, but when somebody kind of outs themselves as the kind of person that seeks other people out just to cause them harm, nope. Rules don't apply to you. Open season. Which is also why I pin comments. Because again, if somebody comes here with the intention to be hateful, clearly they want a platform, and I'm going to give them the platform that they're after. You can dish it out, but can you take it? I know that I come from a very different generation than much of my audience. I come from a generation where we didn't have the internet until I was well into my teens, versus much of my audience who really never knew a life without the internet or social media. So it's much easier for them to take things to heart that they read online or interactions with them that way, because it's been much of their social interactions. It's embedded in who they are. Versus myself and my generation, which I'm sure if you are part of that generation you can attest to, when you didn't grow up with social media, where if you had anything to say to someone, you said it to their face, and you knew that your words had consequences and found its way back to your front door. So people chose their words very carefully, and if they did not, you would duke it out. And it would oftentimes, if it wasn't verbal, it would come to physical altercations. So when people say things to me online, it doesn't really bother me, unless it's really crazy. You know, you're making threats, and unless it's something like to that extreme, it doesn't really faze me. But the people that I do think about and the people that I do care about are my audience, because I can be a bit more like big sisterly or even maternal when I see that, because I know that this is their generation and this is the way that they grew up, and they will take this sort of thing to heart, which is why I react the way that I do sometimes. So all that fun stuff being said, let's get to the comments and the DMs. The first thing I'm going to read you is a DM that I received on a video about gluten-free pizza. This came by way of Instagram, and I posted a reel. I also posted it here on YouTube, but I posted a reel about a gluten-free pizza joint. It's not a gluten-free pizza joint, it is a pizza joint, but it's about a gluten-free pizza that they make, which is absolutely incredible. And you would think that the comments on a pizza video would be quite wholesome. It's food. Everybody loves food. Food makes people happy, right? Given the first few sentences in this comment, wherever you think it is going, it's not. Isn't Little Nero's Pizza based in New York? I tried to find it, but it doesn't come up. I live in Canada, and we only have Little Caesars here. Innocent enough, right? Wait, Also, do you have any advice on how I can get a goth girlfriend? I really need a goth girlfriend in my life to hold me down like the little naughty boy that I am and plow me like a Canadian driveway in February. It's the only way I can retain what little is left of my sanity, lol. But yeah, sorry for the dramatic description, lol. I just don't know what to do. I tried going to some of the gothic punk industrial clubs here, and I usually end up getting that look of inadequacy from the goth girls. I thought about getting some tattoos or even trying dark makeup, but I don't think it works too well for my personality. I love to go out and play sports and go to the gym, and sometimes I've seen a few goth girls at the gym, but they all have boyfriends. If you're familiar with the whole MBTI community, I even tried asking out some INTJ goth girls, but I just end up getting the INTJ ignore look. What do I do? Just to be clear, you want me to help you trick goth girls into having sex with you. I have a wooden casket in my living room for decoration. This is a box intended for human remains, and I find myself creeped out by this. That is just merely to demonstrate what a goth girl is actually seeing. So not only are you trying to alter your appearance permanently by way of getting tattoos, but you're showing up at in-person goth events for the sole purpose of having sex with a goth girl. I don't know if you realize how predatory that actually is. And the fact that you're saying that it's kind of like robbing you of your sanity, do you really think that that goth girl did not clock you a mile away? I guarantee you she saw you before you saw her, and the reason that it's not working is because they're running from you. Do you have any idea what that must look like from the outside? This next comment came in on a video where I talked about my transition from being, for lack of a better way to put it, normie, and transition into being alternative. That kind of point in your life when you realize that this is more in line with who you are, your personality, and it's like coming of age type of situation, right? This comment reads, individuality is best, but right in the beginning you claimed that you don't like to be the center of attention, yet that is a lie. Being alt and dressing alt is not individuality, it is actually fascist. It's poser. Same with anyone who dresses the same, acts the same, etc. Facts are crazy. Adolf Hitler notoriously hated makeup, hated red lipstick, and was very much in favor of the trad wife, and it was a movement that he was trying to push. Perfect little housewives, at home, modest, bearing children, tending to the home in their little beige pinafores, and absolutely not a stitch of makeup. So much so that the act of wearing makeup, specifically red lipstick, was worn as a sign of resistance. So yeah, facts are crazy. This one just made me laugh. Why are those light switches so weird? Is one of the skulls made of crumpled aluminum foil? What's going on? It's just old. They're just flowers. This comment came in on a random video about music and a little bit of an anecdote about the show. You act like goth defines your whole life. I was listening to Bauhaus while you were in diapers, and yet you come on here and you cry like you're original. You're everything I hate about goth girls. Goth music sucks now. Like people suck now. Stop crying. You're a poser. I'd put black metal up against goth any day. You're miserable. Alright, Motorhead Malibu Barbie. You look like a failed magician auditioning for a Sons of Anarchy tribute performance at a sundown town community theater somewhere in the Midwest. This next comment is the kind of comment that I've gotten since the start of my channel, and it's the kind of comment that I consistently get on a weekly basis. Goth, 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 goth. Which color do you rep? Black. Which side do you rep? Goth. Heck, I'd make fun of you just for being such a goth snob. You just gotta chill with the goth identity a bit. Can start with trying to go an entire day without saying goth. You're on a goth channel, my guy. You're kind of gonna hear about it here. It's really funny when I get these comments because people become so frustrated that they're on a goth channel, and that's what I'm talking about. What would you prefer that I discuss? Brake alignment, competitive unicycle jousting, potato farming? What do we do for an encore? Do you go to an aviation channel and complain about airplanes? Shock surprise, this is a goth channel. You're going to hear about that here. So if you are here for anything else like gelato making, you are in the wrong place. Goth chicks is one of those things I always found entertaining to watch. They were usually stuck up and always drug addicts, and now old goths, that's just pathetic. So in other words, you got rejected. Is that what we're saying? This is a comment that I found really interesting, and I wanted to respond to it here. It's not one of those weird unhinged ones, but it's one from the community, and I thought it was a really interesting topic. This is a comment that came on the video about all the goth subtypes, the origins, where it began, and people's incessant need to categorize themselves in as many compartments as they possibly can. So their comment read, "It's because they teach people identity politics in schools, which confuses young kids to the point of where everything is an identity label now, including the memes, which the kids need to construct their self around, because that's what identity politics teaches kids. You're not a person, you're a box and a label that needs to be constructed from a collection of identity and gender labels like Pokemon gym badges. Kids don't know how to be an individual anymore. I see the same thing happening in the femboy community." This is just sort of a hot take, because I've not been in school in many years, so I can't really attest to what they're teaching kids now. But I honestly, I don't think it's as complex as that. I think it's more along the lines of competition. And I think that social media and the internet creates this situation where people become drowned by way of excess. And I think when you have people on one hand who just want to be seen and they just want to be recognized and heard, and then you have people who have an inherent need for attention. Both of these people kind of face the same issue, because it's not as simple as it was back in the day, where you weren't really competitive by way of getting attention, in the sense that you didn't have this huge pool of people. It was your town, it was your school, it was the clubs that you went to, it was the things you involved yourself with. But now it's the entire world that you're up against. Everybody is competing just to be seen, whether you're the person who just wants recognition in the world or just wants to be heard, or the person with an inherent need for attention. They are all pitted against each other because you have this huge pool of people that are just sort of swimming around, and they have to create these niche labels for themselves with excessive boxes that they have to tick off just to seem unique enough. And that's really the name of the game. It's about being unique. And I kind of equate it to back when I was pursuing acting many moons ago, being an actress. You are up against a bunch of people for the same part. And to be an actress, to stand out in an audition, it's all about being unique, finding your way of standing out from the rest. Like, what makes you different from all of these other people to where you stand out? Sometimes it wasn't about what you had to say, because lots of people had talent, lots of people had brilliant things to say and had a gift, but sometimes it wasn't really about that. They were looking for somebody that had something different. And unfortunately, when you're up against all of those people and you have to be competitive, you're going to look for any way that you can to stand out. And that means checking a bunch of boxes. And I think that's where this collect-em-all Pokemon need for labels really came from. It's all about competition and being unique enough to stand out from the crowd and just be seen. You don't need to be part of the community to be goth. Goth is individual-based subculture. No individual. It is just role-playing, no matter what music you force yourself to listen and how many black lipstick you are wearing every day. That is external attributes of a poser who tries to please others, not manifesting you dark nature organically. Jake is goth, a brutal male part of it, which I like because is myself, though I'm a girl. He is individual with his opinion and someone who is interesting and fun to watch, in contrast with you, Angelina. I don't think that I'm giving this comment the proper energy.
Jake is goth, a brutal male part of it, which I like because is myself. Though I'm a girl, he is individual with his opinion and someone who is interesting and fun, in contrast with you, Angelina, the whining poser. Women are not goth, they are some models, the same bedroom goths as you. No, you can't ruin goth because inner darkness couldn't be destroyed. It'll manifest through trap goth, through dark e-girls and boys, through black metal, dead insiders, any other subculture, and all will go from the start. Real-life goth now is old fat clown-based subculture. If you watch the videos from recent WGF, there is almost no youth because you deny youth to be called goth. It is no funny anymore for them to be in a part of cheap clown theater that is contemporary goth.
What? This one made me so nostalgic. I prefer the excitement of the ritual of going to an event rather than the instant gratification of simply getting a ticket, so to speak. I'm still that way, making a day out of it and enjoying the excitement and socializing face to face. Yes, it was all about the ceremony. You made an entire day. If there were concert tickets to get, you made a whole day of it. You went with your friends, you got your concert tickets, you all went out to a diner afterward, you showed everybody your tickets because they printed it out right there. And everything had like the ceremony to it, like the ceremony of getting a brand new CD. There was like a whole ritual that came along with that. Well, the first thing was getting the plastic off the damn thing. But once you did, you locked yourself in your room, You set the mood, you find yourself in your most comfortable position, whether it be laying on your bed, if you have a chair, whatever it was, and you put the CD on. And then you leaf through the ideal CD booklet that comes in your CD. This is just from a single, so unfortunately there's not a lot here. It's just like a, regular little booklet. But an ideal booklet would have several pages, would have artwork, and would have all of the lyrics to each song. Lyrics are very important. So as the CD is on, you played that thing start to finish, and you would leaf through the entire CD booklet, reading along with the lyrics to the songs, and it was absolutely brilliant. Not an unhinged comment, but it's one I want to react and respond to. It came in on a short that I made, which is like, what is gatekeeping versus just information? And they had responded, that sucks, though I've never experienced it, but what do you think about elitism in the goth scene? I think there are people everywhere that think that they're better than others. Just some of them happen to listen to goth music. This one kind of creeped me out on one of those kind of parasocial levels, and it came in as a DM on my Instagram. My biggest fear is that you actually don't have a boyfriend and are kind of antisocial, so lie to the internet about trying to get pregnant because you're waiting for someone to read your mind and tell you that it's not even aliens, it's time travel, and we are the supreme beings of the universe, and that it was because of this moment we knew that Neuralink was capable of too much and no secret were ever kept again. Because you were so in tune with the universe that individual soul, told on themselves and would pray so hard it would need to edit the atoms in reality. Or you could be another branch in the factual story lining, want to help me decipher which parts of the government are messing with me and which parts are actually paranormal phenomenon and which parts are me just being paranoid. My biggest fear is the Nemo 33. There is a lot of entitlement out there on the internet. I've never encountered this in person, but a lot of entitlement with people who feel like they are entitled to any space and anything that they want, even the goth community. And this particular comment that I'm about to read to you, the majority of times that I get a comment like this, it comes from a person who genuinely has no interest in the goth subculture whatsoever, but they feel like they're entitled to it should they want to, and they feel as if they know more than you do. And what happens is when they see a goth talking about the community by way of music, history, whatever it might be, they see it as an affront to them personally and get a big bee in their bonnet about it because they feel as if you're actually talking down to them when in fact you're just sort of talking generally about the community or whatever reason, and because that space doesn't include them, which of course leads them to the eventual comment of, well, I'm not a goth, but, and then insert ridiculous, nonsensical things that have absolutely nothing to do with the subculture. But most importantly, they try to cherry pick things about you yourself that would exclude you from the community. Well, I can be a goth because of this, but you clearly can't because of, and this is one that I've heard several times before. Honestly, you need to share a video of your 23andMe or Ancestry so we can see just how much Western European you are, because you look Hispanic South American to me, which would disqualify you from being a real goth. Yeah, nobody tell him about Mexico. Corpus Delicti is one of my all-time favorite bands, and as they are touring again after 20 plus years, the closest they got to the US was Mexico City, which unfortunately I could not make it to. But yeah, no such thing as South American goths. It's never bothered me when people incorrectly guess my ethnicity because it's always interesting to see what other people see when they look at you. But it would be nice to be recognized by my own people. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I laugh. The more bitterness I sense, the funnier it makes it. Because why? Congratulations, Angela. You have played such a big part in phasing out goths as a genre on YouTube. With your bullying and bitchy tactics, spreading your vile poison to harm an already struggling community, you are truly an ugly and selfish person. The way you gang up on and pick on people that you are jealous of is just pathetic. A good marker of how the subculture is doing is by way of looking at the music and what's coming out, who's touring, what venues are happening, and by that, it is utterly thriving. There are bands coming out daily, older bands producing new music, and they're currently touring. Diva Destruction is out and back and touring and making new albums. So I don't know where the struggle is there. And the only time I've ever really experienced jealousy was never at a person, but at octopus. Because they can change color at will. They punch fish out of spite. They shoot ink at anything that makes them angry. How cool would it be to have that ability? But if you haven't guessed, octopus are like one of my favorite animals ever. But yeah, definitely not jealous of any person, but it seems kind of like you are. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of scroll through and find the random funny ones because I took a whole bunch of screenshots. Why is this one titled ass? Oh, because it is an ass. Something that happens here a surprising amount is when people fly into my comments in an absolute rage because the title or caption for my video completely set them off and they didn't even watch the video, where all of their rage and angst would be completely quelled if they simply watched the video, but they're too fired up already and they're in my comments just going for it like one after another after another. If there are small children around or you're at work, this is certainly not safe for anyone's ears. Hey fucking little bitch, it's me again. Don't want to reply back? I don't give a damn. We are not gothics. If we are mixed with other thing, fuck you, suck my dick, fucking whore, go to hell, bye. Angela Benedict, listen to me, fucking whore. You can't say what I am, okay? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Hot wheel beat that. That's too bad. You so fucking gorgeous with a great body and you being a bitch. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Consider yourself blocked. And tell me if you not gothic, if you are a mix with another style, why they have gothic subgenres. Explain that to me. Every gothic is different and they unique style. Explain that to me, Angela. It was this caption that set them off, by the way. You know, on social media, you'll see like an article posted and a bunch of comments underneath that article, like on Facebook or something, and you see people in the comments all responding to the title of the article itself, but you've already read the article and you see the things that they're responding to has nothing to do with the article and they're just clearly responding to the title and they're all absolutely furious. And then you have other people in the comments that are kind of responding to them saying, you know, reading is fundamental. This is kind of one of those situations. Only we're referring to a video, so like watching is fundamental. So this is a person who's actually reacting to the very same title and caption, the same video as the previous guy did, and clearly did not watch the video. Lol. You're not a real goth until you pick your type? You literally look like you walked out of a Hot Topic after Hot Topic stopped being goth. Next, I am goth, candy, cyber, neon, rainbows, glitter, crows, black everything, gypsy Barbie. And I love my style and it is what I choose because it is who I am. So here's a person who is clearly feeling called out by the title of my video, but in actuality I'm kind of calling out the concept of subtypes. And you get people that are just so mad because they don't look into things. Sometimes, and this is like a major problem with the internet is free. I've seen so many misunderstandings that could have been avoided. I see so many people who feel judged, they feel under the microscope, they feel like they're being bullied or ridiculed, or they feel like somebody is coming for them, when in actuality, a simple click of a mouse and they could have avoided when it just wasn't the way that they perceived it, because they went in with little to no information. And I've seen it so many times. Sometimes I'm guilty of it, but I have to remind myself, no, internet's free, Google it. I'm at the point of the video where I actually start to lose my voice, and whenever I talk for a while, I feel it in the back of my throat, and I always have to have a drink that has some level of sugar in it. It helps. And this one is this crazy soda. It's like, it's a version of like tropical Sprite or 7-Up. And to me, it tastes like melted Starburst, which isn't bad, but a little artificial. I definitely have a lot more in the way of comments, and I know that I'm probably going to get a ton more in the future. So if these kinds of videos are interesting to you, if you find them amusing, let me know, and I will share and react to more comments. But I do want to point out again, I am not perfect. Ever since I was a kid, I've always mirrored other people. I was always a very self-conscious little kid because I had my behavior called into question a lot, the things that I would say and things that I would do. So I learned from a very early age how to just mirror other people to see social protocol, how I should be reacting or acting in certain situations. And as I got older, became more comfortable in myself, that kind of turned into matching energy. Whereas I'm myself, I will always be myself, but I'm going to kind of match whatever energy people approach me with. So if you're nice, I'm going to be nice. If I see that you're being very open with me, I'm going to be very open with you. If you're stern, I'm going to be a little bit more stern. So other people's energy seems to affect me in a way where I will automatically be able to match that. But if you start coming at me hot, that's exactly what you're going to get in Ripple. And I will never understand the absolute entitlement of a person who would have the audacity to come at you all hot and then have the balls to clutch their pearls and claim offense because you respond or react to that in kind. You get what you put out there. If you give me a cookie, I'm going to bake you cinnamon rolls. If you put your hand up for a high five, I'm going to high five you back. If you open up to me and show yourself to be vulnerable, I will be here and listen to you and be that person that will be that listening ear if you need it. But if you come in and talk a bunch of shit, I'm going to make fun of you. So you're never going to really see me lash out at anybody in cold blood. If you like videos like this, let me know in the comments. But until next time, bye.